It's 8 p.m. It's Monday night. And it's episode 7. D.E N City tonight. What's up? A little different thing tonight. I'm coming to you live from Facebook instead of my IG page. For technical reasons. Yo, Mr. Lopez, Ed, what's up? We are here tonight for technical reasons. And we'll be coming to you until we can figure out how to do this through IG. It's a little bit different of a setup. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Welcome to another episode of D.E N City tonight. I am Frank Dez, and I'm coming to you live. Usually we talk about sports, politics, music, entertainment, all kinds of things. But today we're going to do something different. Well, not really different because all those things still apply if you want to talk about it. But I'm trying to get more in touch with the people that are hopefully watching or will be watching, and I want to get in touch with the audience a little bit. So today I'm going to ask people to maybe call in, share an insight, share a request, share a story. Today I wanted to talk about things that have changed your life, whether it's for the good or for the bad, for better or worse. Things that have changed your life, affected your life, and what you learned from them. And I'm hoping that maybe one or two of you will call in and give an example of something that happened to you that changed your life, that affected, the way you decided to live your life, and has kind of guided you. Hopefully they're all positive. So I'll say, if you're going to call in, the number is 732-955-4931. Hey, it's the other Mr. Lopez. What's going on, guys? How you doing? Got the brothers watching. Again, 732-955-4931 to call D.E N City tonight. Again, the topic tonight is just things that have affected your life, whether it was good or bad, what you learned from them, and how it kind of helped you to go along. I guess I'll start it off. I would say one of the biggest things that affected my life was, oh wait, hold on. Yeah, we're snowed in. That's right, snowed in. In fact, before we even get into that, let's talk about this nor'easter blizzard that we're dealing with. I got at least 12 or 14 inches outside on my driveway that I've had to shovel. Really, I shoveled some of it. My son is shoveling the rest of it. And it's crazy. 955-4931. That's the there you go. 4931. So yeah, snow is crazy. Everybody's out, everybody's shoveling, snowed in. Still not as crazy as the one that I remember from 96. And then when I was really small in 78, those are like major shut down the city. Nobody moved for days kind of snowstorms. But this one was pretty good. My man Al Lopez is on. He said it's only 80 there in Florida. Yeah, okay. that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's only 80 here in Florida. All right, Al, I got you. So it's definitely, definitely snowed in. But I'm glad you're having a good time out there in Florida. I'm glad it's 80 degrees. We're here in New York and New Jersey, tri-state area, freezing. But getting back to the topic that I was talking about tonight, things that have changed your life. I wanted to touch on something that happened. I was 17 years old. Not that it happened, but at 17, I was, let's just say I wasn't on a specific trajectory. All right. I was kind of all over the place. And I had really done a horrible job in high school. And it got to the point where I was really told that it wasn't any sense for me to really stay there anymore. So I ended up leaving high school. Probably a lot of you guys don't know that about me. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people do. A lot of people don't. Well, now you know. And my sister, uh, I'll say her name. Her name is Diane. Got me into this program called the City Volunteer Corps, and the City Volunteer Corps was for kids, mostly troubled kids, because that's pretty much what we were all were. Not any kind of criminality, but then the kids just didn't have a lot of focus. So this program she entered me into, and basically we all kind of got together and went upstate New York for about a week um, to this place called Camp Wilmette. And in that week, I think I experienced more emotions in that one week than I had for years prior to that, because they had us doing all kinds of trust games. They had us doing all kinds of, in depth, looking inside yourself, kind of figuring out what it is that you were here for and why you were going through the things that you were going through. These guys did a fantastic job of kind of getting young kids to really, really look at themselves for the first time. I mean, we had to do things like kitchen duty, where we would serve and clean up for the entire camp. Every team had a different chance to do that. And while you would think that was crazy, it was like some kind of boot camp or anything like that. It was far from it. We did trust falls, and I did a 100-foot zip line over a lake. We climbed a 13-foot wall without, any ropes or anything like that. Kind of like what they do in the military. But it was the kind of, not the mind games, but that the mind, the things they would do to help you develop your mind, to help you develop your critical thinking, to help you develop your ability to see others in a different light. And we all really got very close in that week. Kids that had never met each other, kids that have never probably been experienced in anything like that before. And by the time we left and got back to the city, it was relationships that probably we'll never have again. I'm friends with some of these people 30 years back in 1987. Yeah, it's definitely a game changer. Well, definitely a game changer, because it was just so special. We did things as soon as we got back to the city. We did parks restoration. If you go over to Morningside, I think it's 110th Street, there's a park called Morningside Park, and now that park is full of basketball courts and it's full of all kinds of things. But back in '87, it was just bushes. It was just we cleared that whole area. And the City Volunteer Corps was a very, very special program for its time. Mayor Ed Koch had done it. It went for a couple of years. We did park restorations. We delivered food to the elderly. Meals on Wheels. We were visiting nurse service. One of my favorite projects was tutoring kids in the Bronx, IS 192 on Freeman Street in the Bronx, crazy dangerous area. And some of these kids were, to say the least, a little bit had somewhat behavioral issues. But I will tell you what, at the end of that I think we were there for 2 months, 3 months. At the end of that time, we had a bond with a lot of those kids, and it was very hard to leave. It was real emotional, because those kids that were really yelling and screaming, and they were being, monstrous during the first weeks that we were there. By the time we left, these kids just wanted somebody to listen to them, just wanted somebody to, work with them. And I know the teachers, they have a hard time. They have a hard time doing a lot of the one-on-one work, because it's just so many kids. And it was a very special time. So I think the City Volunteer Corps was probably one of the biggest things that had an effect on me positively, and helped me see myself in a much better light than I was at the time. And I'm thankful that I got to be a part of that program. And I wrote a speech for our graduation, from our upstate graduation, and that speech was sent to the mayor's office. So it was really cool, and it also helped me get back into school. It helped me graduate. It gave me my first opportunity to learn music recording and production because they gave us scholarships at the end of that. And that probably started, I didn't probably start, it started my music production career. So many things came from that, positive relationships, seeing yourself more, in a better light, self-esteem, accomplishing things, and giving me an opportunity and an avenue to do the thing that I love to do now, which is still produce music and being, part of the creative scene. And if you look here, yes, Morningside Park on his old back when he lived as a child in Grand Projects. Know it well. Yeah, that project, that was a great project for us, and it was such a big change after we you know we didn't see it when we did it because we were just clearing the field. But now, when I went back there and years after that, and I see the basketball courts and I see the baseball fields, I think just what they did with that, I was like, wow, we were part of that, and that's pretty amazing. So again, I don't know if anybody's going to do it, but there are things that happen to each of us. They're like little periods in our lives that affect um, where we're going and how we see the world. And it's those moments that sometimes we don't even realize. Excuse me. Sometimes we don't even realize how much they affect you. And then there are others that affect you for the rest of your lives. I think one of the reasons that I was at that stage was I was a pretty lost kid from the ages of about 12 to say 15, 16. I was kind of, just trying to figure out whatever and not really very, structured and it not and it wasn't because of my parents. I mean, my family has always tried to keep people on the right track. They were all there and they were all loving and they were all trying, but I think I was just lost. 1981, I think I was 11 years old. My mom's passed away from cancer. And as I think about that and I go back and reflect on, you know, what I saw, I remember even sitting before she knew she had that, I remember sitting on a couch with her. Um, Sometime I don't know if it was the summer, but it was early in the day. And I remember sitting on the couch with her and touching her shoulder and feeling a bump on her shoulder. Maybe she knew at that time. Maybe they didn't want to tell me, but I remember touching the bump, which was a tumor. And it was kind of significant at that point. I remember telling her, "Mom, what is this? What is this bump you have on the back of your shoulder?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll go check it out or whatever." So I don't really know if that point if she was already aware or not aware. Didn't want to tell me, but I watched, and my family watched like 8 months of my mother going from a very vibrant, you know, funny, woman who everyone loved, and her just deteriorating and becoming a situation where we didn't really recognize her anymore. And I remember watching that, and I remember I was in the fourth grade, I think, or third grade or fourth grade, and I remember my teacher calling me. Getting a phone call. I don't know if you remember in all the elementary school classes, they used to have a phone in the teacher's room so that the office can call them and stuff like that. Or you can call and have somebody come down to your office. And I remember that phone ringing. We were in the middle of one of those SAT, those math tests or whatever. And I was already aware that my mother was really, really sick. I didn't really have a chance to see her in the hospital. And I remember the phone ringing and my teacher picking up the phone, and she goes, "Oh no." And I put my pencil down. you know as young as I was receptive to her response, and I knew that most probably it was in regards to me, because she kind of looked at me and kind of looked away, and I remember I put my pencil down and I just folded my hands and I waited, and I was like, okay, this is probably bad news. And it was. I remember our neighbor, who is now my sister's husband, my sister Ruth's husband, Willis. I remember he came to pick me up from school and took me home, where I, kind of found out my mom was no longer with us. And I think that in itself was a very painful, obviously very painful part for all of us. Um, and yeah, from that point on, I really went on a bad I went on a bad spree. Not rebellious, not a bad kid, but just you know, kind of just lost. I mean, cutting school and sometimes money found its way into my pocket that probably didn't belong to me, but yeah, just kind of lost and leading that into high school and situations like that. And that City Volunteer Corps was key to a turnaround for me. And okay, well, I wasn't perfect after that. I still had a lot of things to learn, but it was key in getting me back into a better state of mind. And I say that to say, anybody who's out there that possibly is going through some trying times, or maybe not able to really focus on what it is that they want to do or figure out what they want in life, there's going to be something. You got to pay attention. There's going to be something that happens where you something clicks and it helps you to get through to the next part. So again, if anybody's willing to share a story, I know it's kind of strange to to do that, but again, the number is 732-955-4931. 732-955-4931. I'll take a call. I'll put you on the air, and you can share your story, or you can share a request, or you can share criticism, whatever it is. I'm opening up the lines to anybody that wants to give me a call. That could be dangerous, but it could be fun too. So it's interesting. I'm able to do this now. This is one of the reasons why I'm on Facebook, because the program that I'm using doesn't go through IG. I have to do something a little bit different, and I'm not prepped for that yet. But I will be continuing to do this from here, and I'll also be doing it on YouTube at some point soon. Let's see. I think we have somebody on the air. Oh, definitely. I have on the air someone right now. This is Mr. Lopez.
Press 1 to send a voicemail.
Hold on.
2.
I'm accepting. Who's on the air?
Hello.
Hey, Will.
It's me. Long time listener, first time call.
That's amazing. I wanted somebody to say that to me for the longest. Long time listener for like 2 weeks. I've been on this thing for 2 weeks. Thank you, man. How do I sound?
Hey, man, pretty good. I was listening to your stuff.
Right.
And it's interesting. I mean, I remember a lot of what you talked about.
Yeah, you were there for all of it.
Oh, pretty much. In terms of stories, I have one. I may have shared it with you, or maybe I didn't. I don't remember.
All right.
But I can tell you one that it was really different. I have my first dog named Dusty back in the 80s, early 80s.
I remember.
And you may or may not remember her. But anyway, what happened one night, Dusty got away from me. We were going to go out. Javier was only about a year old at the time, 81, 82, around that time. Anyway, so I'm walking the dog first before we go out, and the dog got away from me. And unfortunately, this car came and hit her.
Yeah.
And it was pretty graphic. I saw the whole thing, and then, wow. Anyway, I'm in the middle of the street with this dog, and I'm trying to, move her or get her away. She was lying.
Right.
She was still alive. And then this pickup truck came out of nowhere. And this was like around 8 o'clock at night. And he stopped, and he came out. He said, "What happened?" And I told him what happened. And he immediately went to his truck and got a blanket. And he wrapped the dog in the blanket.
Wow.
And he said, come, I'm going to take you. I said, no, I don't, first I didn't know him. He's a stranger.
Right.
And secondly, I said, no, that's okay. I got this. Thank you for the blanket. I'll take him inside. He said, no, we got to take him straight to the doctor, to the emergency vet. So I said, come in my truck. So I just got on the truck with him, and with the dog in my lap and the blanket. And we drove from the Bronx. We were in the Bronx at the time.
Right.
We went to Manhattan. And I'm saying, where's this guy taking me? And he took me to this clinic, animal ER, urgent care type thing. which ironically is close to where I live today. Just ironically. Anyway, he took me there, and he got me in. They were open, and he got me in, and the vet went to take the dog and talk to the dog and everything, and then all of a sudden I realized I had no money on me.
Oh wow!
So I said, "Oh man, how am I going to pay for this?" So then the doctor came back out and told me, "Listen, his spine is cracked. It's over. You can't save him." And I save her. So I said, "Oh no!" Of course I was really upset, the whole 9 yards. And then they left me in the room. Said, "You want to say goodbye?" Left me in the room. I said goodbye. And it was pretty rough, but I did it. And then I had to leave. And I said, "Oh, I got to pay this." So the guy said, I got this. And he paid for it. Okay.
Wow.
Now I'm telling you, I don't know this guy from nobody. And he paid for it. And I'm like, oh my God, he's paying for this thing, man. And then he said, I know what this is. I had dogs. I know what this is about. So he paid for it. And I said, okay. I was really upset anyway. At
Of
the
course.
time. I was like, I was not thinking straight. So he took me home. I left the dogs there, of course. And, we went home. And then I said, look, come to my house. I'll give you a check. I have money. I just don't have any money on me.
Right.
So I'll give you a check. So I'm talking to him, and he says, when he got to where I live in the Bronx, at Riverdale, he stopped and he said, look, don't give me any money. He says, next time you see somebody, help them.
Right.
And I was like, what? I don't know this guy. I said, you sure? No, I was like, no, I'm going to give you money. It was like $200 or whatever it was. And I said, I'm going to give you a check. It's good. Trust me, it's good. You know where I live, So he said, no. He wouldn't take it. And, and he just told me, take it easy. Gave me some advice. I left. He had to go. And I got on the truck. I never saw him again. Never saw him and I never forgot that, because it was like, years later, you hear about this thing called pay it forward.
Right.
And back then, there was no such thing as pay it forward. But it did impact on me, because it made me realize, there are people out there that do that stuff. And it's, I know things are tough now, but there are good people out there. And I think we have to remember that. If we don't, then, we're going to be very cynical for everything that goes on in life. And, and I'll even go further. I'll even give you a demographic. The man wasn't of color.
Right.
The man wasn't Latino. The man was Asian. He was Caucasian, and a regular dude, but it impacted,
of
what
course.
I'm saying? And it was, I'll never forget that to this day. I remember the truck, and I remember what happened.
I know about that. I know Dusty, but I never heard that story. I never heard you say.
Yeah, I don't talk about it much.
Yeah,
but,
that's.
It was a story, nevertheless. I mean, I just unfortunately recently lost old Jack.
Yeah.
But the point is that there are people out there. They're
Absolutely.
Strangers. They're never. 9 out of 10 times, they're nobody you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they come through when there's a crisis. Something happens in your building or your block or wherever you happen to be, and they step up. And that is what I think people should take into account when you're dealing with all the challenges and obstacles that all of us got to deal with.
Yeah.
And even now with this COVID and everything that's going down.
Everything that's going on.
We can't give up. There are good people out there, and there are people who will impact your life and will change the way you look at things going forward. You may not think about them every day, but you're going to remember something's going to trigger your reaction to something else, and it goes back to what happened to you.
Absolutely. I think that is 100% right. I mean, some people say that I'm too optimistic or whatever the case is, but I have to believe that they're good people. They're good people in the world. I mean, and quite often it happens to you or it happens to you right at that moment when you're just like at your potentially one of your worst situations, and someone comes up and it affects you, and paying it forward, however you want to interpret paying it forward, or just understanding and appreciating that. That's a great story, man. I appreciate you calling me.
Yeah. So, I thought it was something to think about, bro, because, I know things are tight. People are uptight right now because they've been stuck at home, or they lost their job, or they're there are a lot of things. They lost people to the sickness or
Yep.
to the COVID or whatever. And, despite all the bad news and despite the fact that we had some crazy people in government, which I ain't going to get into now, that's a whole other topic. But, the point is that I always felt, and one of the things I challenged, and I've always told people is, as bad as low as people may have felt about what happened with the president thing and who, I like to use Whoopi Goldberg, so who,
Right.
knows who I'm talking about. Who was in the White House for 4 years, and I never mentioned his name.
Right.
I always felt the system will fight back. I always felt that. I said, as much as you, and the way I look at the last 4 years, the system bent.
Mm-hmm.
It bent almost as far as it was about to break. And guess what? 2 years ago, Democrats got the House back. And 2 years later, we got this who out of the White House. And we did something that nobody ever thought. As Ray Charles said, Georgia on my mind. Now we got the Senate. So the point is that, can the system bounce back? Yeah. Is it the way we want it? No. But the point is, there's a system that still can work if people have enough faith and enough people to lead to do it.
Well,
So that whole thing is what I'm getting at, because right now there's a lot of pessimism out there. There's a lot of people feeling, things are not changing. The vaccine this or whatever is going on.
well, I always say that
I keep telling them it's coming. It's coming.
It's things have a way of it's an ebb and flow. It's things have a way of balancing themselves out. Things don't always. I tell my kids and I tell people that I know, never stay, never get too high and never get too low, because things always have a kind of a way of turning around. So, even when things are going good, appreciate them. Don't take them for granted, because it could change at any moment. But that's also on the flip side, where things are not going so great. Have faith, keep the faith, because it can change at any moment. Well, I appreciate it, man.
I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Listen, I'll let you go. I took too much time.
Anyway, no, thank you.
Show. I'm a first-time caller, long-time listener.
All right, man. I love you, bro.
Okay, talk to you
Take
later.
care.
Regards to the family.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bye-bye. No, man, that's great. That's my first caller. Yeah, that guy's been around my whole life, and so many stories that I could share with him. It's funny because he's talking about his dog Dusty, and I used to be so scared of Dusty, but not because she was mean, but because she was so active. She would run around the room, and she would run around the bed. I remember one day I was in the corner, I was in the room with her, and I was scared. I'm in the corner in shock because she's running under the bed, over the bed, under the bed, and just circling. And she just has so much energy and so much passion and fun. I don't think I got to appreciate her as much as I could have, because I was little and afraid of dogs. Because prior to that, I got bit in the thigh by my friend's Chihuahua, meanest dog ever. One of my best friends that I grew up with, but she had a mean dog, and the dog came running down the hallway, leaped up into the air, and bit me in the thigh. And so it was definitely my beginning of not being too fond of dogs. But I appreciate him for sharing that with me, man. First time call, and it is definitely something to be happy about, when someone's willing to share a story with you and share it with my audience, and then we'll be able to look back on this as one of the first calls I received. That was fun. But again, people, Sean, man, what's up? I appreciate you stopping through, bro. I really do. We got a lot of stories, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this more often because I think it's really great to give people an opportunity to kind of call in and share their stories. And I think it's fantastic to get in touch with people and give them an opportunity to share something of their lives. Give me a chance to connect with what I hope will be a more and more expanding and regular audience that comes to see us on Mondays at 8. I try to keep the show to a half an hour. Maybe as we go forward, if things work out or expand, that we get a little more little more participation, we'll keep it going a little bit longer. But I just want to say I appreciate everybody who came on tonight. If you see this after, because it's going to go up it's going to stay on Facebook. It's going to be up at YouTube. YouTube is Den City Tonight. On Instagram, it's at Den City Tonight. It'll be up there. It'll be here on Facebook. And, we will keep this going. I appreciate the love. I appreciate everything. I remember, embrace your failures because they will prepare you for your success. Embrace your failures, people. This is Den City Tonight with Frank Dez. I appreciate the love, and I'll see you next week.